What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Dense Pixels podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brad, joined by my co-hosts, Micah.
If Craven wants a hunt, we'll give him a hunt.
And Carrie.
What's up?
Yeah, we didn't record till today because we wanted to wait for the Sony PlayStation Showcase to happen on Wednesday. That's the excuse that we're going to
That's the excuse we're giving this week.
But PlayStation did have a showcase, the first one, in fact, since 2021. As usual, we will not go beat by beat through this presentation. We will talk about the things that caught our eye and then got us the most hyped, or just the things that we want to kind of drag on a little bit. I will say, hanging out with you folk over the last decade on this program has ruined me, because the entire time this presentation was going on, all I could think about was, these are just fucking like pre-rendered trailers. Like, I don't care about any of this stuff. Like this is just this is just teasing me.
Ads, man.
Well, look, I mean, credit where credit's due. Nintendo, man, like when they do this stuff, like they do it right. Like they show you the trailer up front, but then they take 5 minutes to kind of show you some gameplay and to walk through the different features of the game and kind of show you some stuff that you'll do in the game. And I think that's the way to do it. I think you could have cut out, 6 or 7 games out of this, 6 or 7 trailers out of this to elaborate more on some of the games that you did show, some of the bigger hitters. Now, the one game where they did just, hit play on the gameplay footage and just let it rock at the very end. Look, I posted in the group, in our fan group on Discord, I don't even give a fuck about Spider-Man. And I was blown away by that gameplay trailer of Spider-Man 2. I gotta tell you.
I mean, just take my money, right? Like, just take like no matter what it is, right? Like, I know we went on this like rant about pre-orders and stuff last time I was on here. Guess what? I'm gonna pre-order it, and I'm gonna pre-order the $1,000 edition or whatever, right? Like the digital.
Micah.
Look, it is what it is, right? Like, I know what I am. I know exactly what I am. I have a problem, as we will discuss later, and in Carrie segment, and
oh no, the hype train derailed Micah.
And yeah, man,
you
like,
weak-willed son of a bitch.
Well, it's not all my fault.
Okay.
Shout out to Steve, good friend of the show, Steve Z. He knows who he is. He's also an enabler. But no, that's neither here nor there. Look, this 10 plus minutes of footage is everything that I needed, and seeing Elias as Craven the Hunter is wonderful. I guess he's kind of taking the Silver Sable role of having armies and armies full of goons for Spider-Man, for Spider's Man to dispatch.
I will say, as I was watching this trailer, and like they cut to the thing of Peter, fighting off the dudes in just the neighborhood because they're going to Kurt Connor's house or whatever. In my mind, immediately, my disbelief was unable to be suspended, because I'm just like, how many mercenaries does Craven have the money to fucking hire? Because I'm assuming those are going to be like the fucking dregs that you just beat the shit out of as the game goes along. So I'm gonna be like, you're gonna literally fight like hundreds of those dudes. That's crazy.
It'll be just like Silver Sable's mercenaries, right? Don't think about it. They're rich. Okay. They're rich and they're white. You're rich and you're white. You can do anything.
That's right. Even taking the most dangerous game to New York City.
Look, seeing him in the black suit is awesome. I don't know if I'm 100% digging the black suit, because it's like organic but has plate armor on it. Like, it's kind of odd. Knowing that they are going to other boroughs, look, it's probably just Queens and Manhattan this time. Like, I can't imagine them doing this for all 5 boroughs.
Who the fuck wants to go to Staten Island?
Thank you. Like, you got to sit on a ferry to get there. Like who the fuck cares, right?
Look, if there's a bad drag of Staten Island, I've yet to hear it. So,
it's a lot of the same in terms of what you will be doing regarding combat, but it does show a couple of new like gadgets and a couple of new abilities, or just abilities that look different because Peter's wearing the black suit. I can't imagine that this is going to be a single player story driven game. Apparently people were surprised by that, even though they said that when this game was announced. And it looks like I don't think you'll be able to switch between suits until maybe after the main game, right? Because they got a story to tell. And it's cool seeing Miles with a couple more options. Miles in his solo game played different from Peter. He played like a more simplified version of Peter, whereas Peter was very gadget heavy. He had like, and you could really vary your combos
What
in
I
his game.
think is going to happen is that Miles will be very customizable from the jump, and Peter will be locked until that part of his story is complete.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Because these two characters play similarly enough where you really have to shake things up.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what they do. The wingsuit, right? Like that's fucking dope, man. Like a new traversal mechanic. I'm digging it. I can already see the little challenges that you're gonna have to do because
I'm excited to see the speed strats that are gonna come up. I'm ready to see this show up at a GDQ in another 6 months.
So Mike,
Someone's gonna beat this game in 12 minutes.
Mike, I have a question, and I don't want you to read any deeper than face value on this question.
Okay.
But so Spider-Man is like it's like, I take it from the fact that since you've completed the game like 800 times, that it's a pretty easily attainable platinum. Like it's not one you have to go out of your way to get.
There are difficulty platinums in the original.
Okay.
And you have to beat it on the ultimate difficulty, and that unlocks after you beat the game on any regular difficulty.
Oh, okay. So not having to worry about the platinum trophy then in that case. How long does it take to go through a playthrough of the first Spider-Man?
If you want to blow through the story, you could blow through the story in maybe like, it doesn't take too long. Like there's a ton of side content. Some of it you have to do. But like side quests and stuff you don't necessarily have to do. I would say maybe 15-20 hours if you really want to just kind of blow through it. If you're interested in this game, these stories kind of, well, you should play Peter's story because it's really, really good. And Miles' story is okay. It feels like a side story, but not, because the way Peter's story ends leads directly into Miles's story, and like you realize, oh, okay, this is why Miles has this suit. This is why his friend is talking to him on the radio, right? Like all that is done in his story. So they're fun games, man. Like if you want to play like an action adventure open world game, it's fun. And especially if you can like get it on the cheap or something like that. Like I would give it a shot, man. I know you're not like super into all this comic book shit, but
no, but I did like the Batman Arkham games, and we're never going to get those again. And I did like the Infamous games, and Spider-Man seems a lot like.
Oh, if you like Infamous, you're really gonna like this, man. It's like Infamous with Batman combat and traversal.
I am not someone who plays a lot of third-person action games. Like that's not and has never been my style of game. And I played the shit out of both of the Spider-Man games, dude. Like,
yeah, man.
They're good. Those are good games.
Yeah,
and I'm surprised you haven't played them yet.
Yeah, like I said, it's because I'm not a comic book dude. And
yeah, but who doesn't fucking like Spider-Man? Everybody likes Spider-Man.
I feel like I probably own the original game already. It had to have been free at some point.
I feel like it is. You should give it a shot if when you're tired of beating fools up in Street Fighter
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know when I'll get to Spider-Man because again, between Street Fighter, Diablo, baseball, fucking dude, what something else just got announced for late June. That is something I care about too. Now I can't even remember.
AEW Fight Forever.
No, it's not AEW Fight Forever. No, absolutely not. I'm worried about that game as a quick.
I kind of am too.
It looks not great. But yeah, Spider-Man 2 was a very impressive trailer. And they knew what they were doing, saving that till the end because that's all the people are going to be talking about coming out of this showcase. So what fair play to Sony for that. As far as the other stuff that I felt was notable, I think we can expect a cease and desist notice coming very soon to Square Enix from Nintendo for making what is Splatoon but with foam.
Yeah, yo, I was like, what the fuck is this bullshit? Like, this shit feels like video game by committee. And it's just like, can I copy your homework? Yeah, just change it a little bit. And like, that's what that shit is. I was annoyed by that, man. Like, I was actually annoyed by it.
Watch the game be fucking outstanding though, despite the fact that it's just like
better.
a carbon copy of Splatoon. Also, I gotta say, very effective. Like I said, most teasers I don't normally give a shit about, but a very effective Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater teaser. I thought that was a really well done.
I ain't even fucking like Metal Gear like that, and even I was like, oh yeah.
That's very cool. Of
course, keeping in mind that Konami sucks dick, and just don't ever forget that. Don't ever forget what they fucking did to Kojima as far as Metal Gear rights are concerned and all that.
Yeah,
so.
I'm gonna be interested to see how this was done up and who worked on it specifically. Because if Konami is taking the lead on developing it, very curious to see how this goes. And then like my knee-jerk reaction was like, wow, like I am surprised we're getting a Snake Eater from the ground up remake because it's not like the original's that old. And then lightning struck and it occurred to me that the original came out literally 18 years ago.
Yeah.
When I wasn't even like I was barely drinking age when that game came out, and then I aged into a fucking corn cob at that very point in time. Because I am an old man now. I finally understand what Micah's been talking about all these years. Also, they showed this very colorful like shooter, and showed a Bungie logo, and then like my knee-jerk reaction to that was, holy shit, like what the fuck's been happening in Destiny since I stopped playing? Like this is fucking wild.
It's not Destiny, man. We're going back to Destiny. 30 fucking years ago. We're bringing back Marathon.
That's right. We're going to Marathon. Apparently it's going to be an extraction shooter, which is interesting. And if anyone's going to onboard me into a genre shooter that I've been curious but never wanting to take the plunge on, it's going to be Bungie. And then immediately after that, they played a Destiny trailer featuring Cade Six, who is supposed to be super dead. Which again got me to ask, what the fuck has been happening in Destiny since I stopped playing this game? How is Cade Six coming back? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess that's what happens when one of the three actually dies. They're like, oh shit.
Yeah, we gotta get one of the other ones back because we're not gonna have them all. Unless they were forward thinking and he managed to record all of his stuff for the upcoming because this next big expansion that comes out next year is supposed to be like the end of the 10-year cycle. Like it's supposed to be the finishing the story, as it were. So.
Destiny 2's been around for a decade, man.
Well, I mean, Destiny has been around for a decade. Destiny 2 has been around for 7 years.
I was about to say, man.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Destiny 2 was 2017.
Yes, that is correct. And then the only other game that really caught my eye that I am interested in is a new Helldivers, which people have been asking for a long time, and it looks like they're taking the first Helldivers and just modernizing it to like more of an over-the-shoulder third-person action RPG shooter. Whereas the first one was like top down, like isometric.
You played
Action RPG.
Helldivers?
I've always wanted to. I've always heard nothing but good things about it, and I
I
never got the
wanted to.
chance.
I've read the first Helldivers book,
Hmm.
and I like, it's fucking, it's schlock, right?
Yeah.
It's you want to live forever,
It's
fucking,
Starship Troopers. Like I literally thought when they first started that trailer that it was an advertisement for the upcoming Starship Troopers game. And then it was like, oh no, it's Helldivers. I'm like, oh, okay, this is just Starship Troopers, but that's fine.
Yeah, so I kind of am interested in it just because I know a little bit about it, and I was interested in the first one. I just, I never got a chance to pick it up.
Yeah.
So this is like a wait and see.
Yeah.
I'm curious about this game.
What else tickled your guys' fancy from this showcase?
Plucky Squire looks cute as shit. I really like that game's aesthetic. I mean, it's being published by Devolver. It's cute. It seems very cute. It seems very well done. It seems like it's being designed with a level of care that that I really like to see. FF16.
I'm just ready for that to come out at this point. I need to see reviews.
Yeah, I don't know if that is going to be a day one purchase for me, mostly because I'm still going to be playing Tears of the Kingdom at that point anyway. So I'm really looking forward to it. Look, Final Fantasy.
I wonder. Your
This is the first time I've been excited about about a new Final Fantasy game in a long time.
Well, your opinion
really
on this,
curious.
Yeah,
is
I'm very curious to see what you're going to think about it, because this is not at all your preferred like genre of game, really. Because it's a character action game essentially with some RPG with heavy RPG elements.
Right.
So.
I'm sure it's going to play very similar to the 7 remake, which I still haven't played. I still feel like I gotta hold off on starting 7 remake until like the second of however many parts fucking comes out for it. But yeah, I mean, look, it's Yoshi P directing, it's Soken doing it's the 14 team doing a single player game. So I'm very, very, very curious to see how it plays. But like the last time I can remember being like genuinely excited about like a new Final Fantasy coming out was when fucking 10 was getting ready to come out. And I remember being like 11 or 12 years old, however old I was at the time, and being like, this looks really cool. And then I think that game is okay.
The last time I was excited was when 13 came out, and that's when I learned, don't be excited about things ever.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm really liking the way this game looks. I feel like I've gotten somewhat of a taste of the gameplay style in so much that I played a lot of Strangers of Paradise, which is a goofy ass game that I do think everybody should play. For whatever reason, Stranger in Paradise has a lot of weirdly redeeming qualities about it. But yeah, look, is it going to be a day one purchase for me? No, but I'm really, really looking forward to seeing the reviews come out. And basically, unless it bombs, I'm still going to pick it up. So I have a lot of faith in that team, given the kind of story they created through 14 over the last decade. So we'll see how it goes. The other thing that caught my eye and mostly just made me laugh was Dragon's Dogma 2, because I don't know who's been asking for this game. It looks like the most generic medieval European fantasy title to have possibly ever existed in the first place, and now they're making another one. Now, it
has a cult following.
I know, and
the first game has a deep cult following.
I have a handful of friends who like really, really, really like the first Dragon's Dogma, and good for them. It sure seems like a game. I don't think I'm ever gonna play it. But like good for them that there's enough of a fan base that they could do another one. And then I want to talk about Project Q, the fucking handheld device. Everybody better apologize to the Wii U right the fuck now, because that's what this is.
I will say this at least is more ergonomic than the Wii U was, because
yes.
So they literally like this looks like they literally like stuck a designer in a room and they're like, think about it, like what would an 8-inch portable PS5 console that you can remote play on look like? And it's like and this is almost like the fucking like Homer Simpson designs the nuclear power plant episode of The Simpsons, where it looks just like the regular nuclear power plant, but he added racing stripes to it, and so and that was impressive enough. Like this guy literally, it looks like they literally took a DualSense controller, cut it in half, attached it to two sides of an 8-inch LED screen, and said, "Job done, boys, we did it. Good job."
He saw this hypothetical person saw the PlayStation exclusive color of the backbone and was just like, you know what? Why can't we just do this?
That's exactly it. He whipped the backbone out of his pocket. He's like, what if this, but a slightly bigger screen? There you go. That's who's gonna sue him is Backbone. They're gonna be like, guys, what the fuck? Like, we gave you an exclusive color, and this is how you thank us by ripping off our design. Look, we talked about this on the show before when it was rumored. This is not for us. I'm not sure who this is for. I'm very curious to know how much it's going to cost. But this is not for us. This is not a device that we need, I don't think.
All I gotta say is you don't get to have been a person who ripped on the Wii U and then get to buy one of these.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah, I don't you know, there was a time in my life where I would just buy crap like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's crap, but I would buy crap like that just because, and then immediately regret it. And now I'm kind of glad that I'm out of that phase when it comes to hardware. Software is a little different. Look, everyone, we are recording this on Discord, and Discord is what is Discord? An app?
It
Site?
is indeed an application. Yes.
As was it was described by the choir director of my orchestra at the last show that we did as Skype but for gamers.
There you go. Discord is Skype but for gamers. And if you want to join us on our Discord, go to densepixels.com/fans. You will get an invite and you can interact with us on a multitude of channels, including the post office, in which you give us a question, hopefully gaming related, but not necessarily. And we tell you what the right answer is. You can also talk about the show. You can talk about soccer. You can talk about wrestling, F1. You can put your gamer tag out there, make friends, and influence people. That's what you can do at densepixels.com/fans. Go to youtube.com/densepixels. Like and subscribe and hit the bell notification icon. We promise we won't do what a bunch of other attention whores will be doing when that new Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2 comes out that we saw on the showcase. Just in time for the movie, apparently. I saw a trailer for that the other day. And we won't pretend to be we won't pretend to be scared when a bunch of jump scares happen.
I won't need to pretend to
Yeah,
be
but I
scared.
say we're not even
scared.
going to play it because Scott Cawthorn is a douchebag who doesn't
That
need
too.
anyone's money,
Don't
so.
forget.
Yeah,
Don't forget.
there you
He's
go.
homophobic. Don't forget that he's taking your money when you purchase Five Nights merchandise and donating it to really awful people. So just keep
There you go.
keep that in mind. Keep it in mind.
So, look, go to wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to all of our shows. Dense Pixels, The Nerdpocalypse, Black on Black Cinema, Coming Distractions, and the weekly preview episode of the Look Forward Political Podcast. Afterwards, go to densepixels.com/premium for $5 a month or $50 for the year. You get access to the premium slate of all of our back content, including the airing of grievances, No Time to Bleed, The Man with the Golden Tongues, Upstage Conversations, and the full hour and a half, 2 hour-ish episode of the Look Forward Political Podcast that is updated every week at densepixels.com/premium.
So there was a time where Blizzard had a very still popular, massive multiplayer online game called the World of Warcraft, and a lot of people who worked on that game were spun off onto another team to work on a project called Project Titan, which is going to be the next big, essentially like MMO game in the Blizzard stable. And Project Titan eventually evolved into the world's first hero shooter, maybe not the first, but the one that certainly popularized the genre, that took the world by storm back in 2016, a little game by the name of Overwatch. And it became one of the most successful PvP games of all time, was arguably the most popular esports shooter for a time. I'm pretty sure that Overwatch's popularity eclipsed even that of Call of Duty back when it was on top of its game. But apparently, like, the folks that developed the game always wanted to get back to like that Project Titan idea that like of making this big MMO. And so the PvP content was just one phase of that, and they always wanted to get back to a PvE mode in the game at some point as well, that people could play with their friends. And so it was announced that like, hey, like we are working on this big, PvE fully fleshed out mode for Overwatch that's going to have skill trees and the whole nine, and you can play with your friends cooperatively. And it's so necessary to do this that it is literally going to be part of the sequel to Overwatch. So Overwatch 2 is going to come out, and we're going to launch that game, and it's going to have PvE, and you guys are going to love it, and it's going to be great. Well, Overwatch 2 launched last year, and it's technically free to play right now because it really is just an addendum on Overwatch 1. And they changed how the Overwatch 1 multiplayer works. It's now a 5v5 game instead of 6v6 as the original Overwatch was. And they took out one of the types of classes or heroes that are in the game. Like now there's only 3 archetypes, essentially. And they said, well, the PvE is not ready, but it'll be ready soon. And then that's the thing you'll pay for when the game comes out. And we hadn't heard much about it until last week when they have announced that they are they are stopping the development of the planned cooperative PvE mode that they literally needed to release the technical sequel to Overwatch to make. Like that's why we're getting an Overwatch 2 and not just additions to Overwatch 1, is because, hey, like we need to make a second game to make this big ass mode. To their credit, they canceled this after years of trying to develop it, and it just could not. Basically, they're canceling it because they could not get it to the point where it lived up to their expectations. So rather than release, some watered down half-ass product, which arguably might have been worse than just pulling the Band-Aid off and canceling it, they decided to stop funding it. But the problem is that they completely overhauled and changed a game that people loved that had pretty much no issues with in Overwatch, and made this big fucking stink and got a bit of a black eye for making all these changes to quote unquote Overwatch 2, for the promise of this mode that is now never going to see the light of day. And just another incredible black eye for this studio that once sat so mighty, Blizzard Entertainment. Now, obviously, like getting this news out before their big tentpole game comes out in a couple weeks is probably pretty smart from a PR strategy, because I'm sure that a successful Diablo 4 launch, assuming we have a successful Diablo 4 launch, will wash away a lot of the bad vibes that
we'll see about
folks
that.
are going to have about this specific story. Yeah, I've never I don't think, and again, I try not to speak in hyperbole unless I'm, being funny. I really can't think of a more epic fumbling of the bag, a self-sustained wound, as we've seen with what's happened to Overwatch really over the past 3 years or so, because they stopped improvements
Yeah.
on the original game to
Yep.
focus on developing this PvP mode. Like the Overwatch multiplayer scene, which is what Overwatch is and will
Hmm.
be, essentially was frozen for like 2 years essentially because of this.
I mean, I don't think I've ever seen what was at one point like one of the most popular games out there cannibalize itself in such a way, not just because of the stopping development on one thing to like focus into PvE stuff that ends up not being implemented in the long run anyway, but like I look at how at one point, a lot of people just really enjoyed it in a casual manner, and then they decided to cater entirely to competitive, and they catered entirely to Overwatch League, and and there has not been a payoff for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't like, people don't care about Overwatch anymore, and you would have figured that the sequel to what was again at one point like such a massively like mainstream popular game. I played Overwatch for a while. I don't play
Mm-hmm.
these games like it's nuts to me. It's nuts to me that again, like they fumbled the bag as hard as they possibly could here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just kind of bizarre. Like I don't know, man.
It's funny to me because like the thing that I compare this the most to, it's kind of like they pulled a reverse Destiny. Like Destiny has always done pretty well with the PvE stuff, at least once we got past Destiny 1 year 1. They've always struggled with PvP. But then again, they're not trying to juggle having a like top tier esport competitive PvP mode with, like this MMO caliber PvE mode alongside of it. Because I guess they're not stupid enough to to try to find. And again, like if you tried to make Destiny 2 into like an esport, that would take away what makes Destiny 2 PvP fun. If you try to balance it into Oblivion, you take away the thing that is enjoyable about that. Yeah, it's again, and it's crazy. Like Carrie, to your point, like you said, it's one of the most popular games. I would argue that for a period of time from like 2017 to 2019, Overwatch on the balance was probably the most popular game in the world. Not only between people playing it, between people watching it. Again, I'm not an esports watcher. I don't typically go out of my way to watch esports. I would like if I saw Overwatch League was on the TV, if I was flipping channels on a weekend, like I would sit and watch some Overwatch League in the background because Overwatch was one of the multiplayer games that was the easiest to follow, like the action going on screen. Like it was very easy to craft like the narrative of the match because all the game modes in Overwatch are focused on bringing people into this one area to fight, and so it was a lot easier to to watch and commentate on from a spectator perspective as well. Which is very smart, like incredibly good design. I don't know if that was intentional. I have to imagine it was because they developed it when the esports scene was burgeoning, back in the early teens. But yeah, I just don't understand how you can take what really is a golden goose and just shit on it. Because also when 2 came out, because the game is now free to play, because they're like, hey, like we can't charge you again for Overwatch 1. That would be insane. They completely changed the microtransaction structure in the game to a format that is wildly unpopular with their player base, when before the players enjoyed as so much as you can enjoy loot boxes, but they accepted and they were fine with the system that they had previously in place, because Overwatch 1 was a $60 game that you purchased, and then they just garnished on top of that with microtransactions. So yeah, just insanely bad. they have a lot of goodwill that they have to make up now with this dedicated community that they have, and we'll see if they can do it. I hope for their sake that they can. And then more news for Blizzard. So so Peggy, which is basically the ESRB of the UK, have decided to fine Activision Blizzard because they failed to disclose the fact that Diablo Immortal has loot boxes. Diablo's always Diablo basically when Immortal came out, they were like, oh no, we don't have loot boxes in our game. What they have is a loot box that you have to earn the right to open by playing through like a 5-minute game mode. And because there was skill involved with it, that's how they justified, no, these aren't loot boxes. And so Peggy's like, that's fucked up. We're going to fine you guys for lying about this. Now, the fine that Peggy levied on Activision Blizzard, I'm sure, will prevent them or any other company out there from daring to take on such a ruse again, because Peggy has hit Activision Blizzard with the massive sum of 5,000 euros.
Come on, man. Okay. They
just gotta shake one of the executives until his pocket change comes
Yeah,
out for
that's
that.
like,
Right.
can we search your car seats for some loose money that might have fallen out of your pocket while you're driving? Oh, we got it right here, guys. We're good.
Somebody probably just dropped 5,000 euros in the app, right? Like, it doesn't, like,
Yeah.
whatever, man. Like, all right, that's hilarious, man.
Yes. Apparently, this 5,000 euro fine is in line with a violation of the rules in the Peggy Code of Conduct, according to the Peggy Enforcement Committee. So I'm sure that will certainly deter them from pulling such a shady move in the future. Because goddamn, they do not want to lose that 5,000 euros. So
That's
good for
hilarious.
you, Peggy, for really sticking it to the man over there.
I could go for 5,000 euros right
I mean,
now.
look, I'll take 5,000 euros as well, but I'm sure Activision Blizzard has it to spare, in case you need it. So,
Well, look, if you want to help fund Activision's fine, you can go to densepixels.com/Amazon and order something from there. When you do, you get what you want. You help us out. It's a win-win for everyone. It's a win-win-win. It's a win for you. It's a win for us, and it's a win for the giant corporation.
That's what counts.
And that's all that matters, right?
Mhm.
You gotta help fund Bezos's new wedding to his girlfriend. So go to densepixels.com/Amazon like I did and type in Activision so you can help out another major corporation with their 4-digit fine. When I go to densepixels.com and type in Activision, the first thing that comes up is Transformers Fall of Cybertron download, the PC download. You can get it on PC for $49.99, or if you're living high on the hog, you can get it on Xbox 360 for $130. Free prime delivery.
I'm assuming it's out of print. So.
I would hope so. I know the Transformers have a rabid fan base, but come on, folks. So yes, and then to no one's surprise, 3 Call of Duty titles follow that one.
There
So
you go. There you go.
so go to densepixels.com/ and then 3 more after Scott. Okay. Go to densepixels.com/Amazon.
Speaking of high sales, to the surprise of absolutely nobody, Tears of the Kingdom is the fastest selling Legend of Zelda game ever.
Yeah.
In just 3 days, Tears of the Kingdom sold over 10 million units worldwide, which is almost halfway to the 22 million units that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet has sold, which was the last huge seller that Nintendo published. And in case you're wondering how it compares to Breath of the Wild sold just under 30 million units lifetime to date, which, if Tears of the Kingdom maintains its current level of buzz and current rate of sales, will probably be surpassed within about a year or so, I would
Yeah.
say. So,
So keeping in mind the fact that
yeah.
more people simply have Switches now than they
Yeah,
did
yep.
when Breath of the Wild came out. So there's with more consoles in people's hands, obviously there's going to be that many more units being moved for the sequel.
So we talked, Mike and I talked last week about our impressions of your impressions of Tears of the Kingdom, because we hadn't actually played Tears of the Kingdom. But this week we actually have a bona fide Tears of the Kingdom player on the show with us, and apparently two, if you were to believe what Mike has been alluding to. So, but let's start with Carrie. Carrie, tell us about what you're doing in this magical realm of Hyrule, and above and below, as it turns out.
Yo, this game real good. Look, there's so much to do. There's so much to do. And so much of what I'm doing is avoiding giant monsters that can kill me very quickly. There's a bunch of Gleeoks just like hanging out. It's always fun to like turn a corner and be like, what's in here? And it's a 3-headed dragon that can one-shot me very, very quickly. God, I mean, like, everything about this game is just like, it's so well done. And the freedom to just try different things, to just do shit, you know, there's so much of me just like cobbling together something to like get me to the next room in a shrine where I'm just like, I am a genius, and it's like 12 boards nailed together so that I can cross a big gap. Yeah, like everything, it's just like I really like the shrines and the puzzles in this game, because so many of the shrines in the first game had like, there was one solution. Right? There was one solution and you basically had to do it that way in order to finish. And with this, there's a dozen possible solutions to every issue you ever run into, whether it's in a shrine or a temple or somewhere in the overworld or somewhere in the depths. There's a million different things you can try and do, and they give you the tools to try everything out. And I think that's great. I've done the Rito Temple. I don't know if that's spoiler territory or not. But like I did the Rito Temple. I thought that boss, I had more fun with like the first big story boss I fought in Tears of the Kingdom than I had fighting anything in Breath of the Wild. Like it felt very classic Zelda, but still felt very fresh. It's like everything is good. I love the fact that you get little friends to hang out with in the temples. It's really cool. And then I don't know, everything. The only thing I miss is having that Rivali's Gale ability from the first game. That was really useful, and you don't get that anymore. That sucks. But you get to hang out with a bunch of characters that you were friends with in the first game. I'm doing the Goron quest now, and that's really interesting, and it's challenging, but not to a point where I feel like I'm getting stuck at all. Because the game clearly doesn't want you to get stuck. The game gives you the tools to figure a way out of every situation, even if it's not obvious. I have found that I am frequently forgetting about the ascend ability.
as is everybody else, apparently. Because it's such a weird ability to have. Like, there's really nothing else like it in video games. Yeah.
Like, the ability is simply up, and it's very easy to forget about, where it's like, I spent time down in a well just being like, how do I get up there, for like 15 minutes before remembering, like, hey, Bingus, you have a thing that lets you just go up. So I'm trying to remember all my abilities outside of basically Ultra Hand and Fuse. It's like I have to remember about Rewind and and Ascend. Yeah, I don't know. The game's really good, and there's so much going on. And I love just like going back to one of the Skyview towers and just like yeeting myself into the stratosphere and just like seeing what else I can see from way the fuck up there, because you can see everything from up there. I think the game runs really well. I haven't had any kind of frame rate issues either in TV mode or in handheld mode. I think I mentioned the last time I was on here, I got the Tears of the Kingdom OLED edition. That being said, I've been playing mostly in TV mode so far. And it's gorgeous. The game looks great. It plays great. The music is great. I love the characters. Link is such a fun little twink to spend time with. And everything about the game is really good. And I know that I'm just barely scratching the surface as far as like what is in this game. And I've already sunk like 40 hours into it. Yeah, I don't know. It's good. It's a really good game, to the surprise of absolutely fucking nobody.
It's been a very long time since I played a Zelda game, and yeah, I didn't really give Breath of the Wild a shot. I don't know why. I just didn't. But you know, Steve sent me a message saying, "Hey, don't play Breath of the Wild. You can just go straight into Tears of the Kingdom."
I mean, you can, but like. You
Right.
should go back and play Breath of the Wild at some point.
I get it, but I was a little, I was a little, you know, disillusioned with it, and I don't know why. And he felt kind of the same way. But he got to the Kingdom. He was like, "This is amazing. It's giving me Elden Ring vibes, right?" So I was like, "All right, well, look, I just need one person to tell me to go buy something, and then I will buy it, right?" As someone whose opinion I trust, right? Like, I'm not gonna. You know, I love Demetrius. I'm not going to get his recommendation on a Zelda game, right? Like, he tells me to go buy a Zelda game. I'm like, I'm staying the fuck away from this game. But I bought it, and it's really good. And the one thing that that you can really tell is that this game respects you as a player, like as a person with a brain. Like in an age where there are waypoints and objectives on the screen and compasses to like your entire HUD is covered with a GPS navigation system. Here's a game that literally plops you down into this world. You got a little map, and you got to find out where to go. And everything is very intuitive. And the things that aren't, when you get to a point, the game will be like, "Hey, I'm going to give you this. This is how you use it. Here's one example of how to use it. So, you know how it works. Go."
Yeah.
And then you have to figure it out. And they give you all the tools, like Carrie said, everything is around you, and the game makes you feel smart. And it makes you feel smart in a way that like my son feels like he's smart if I kind of lay out like, "Hey, maybe, I don't know. What do you think you should do with all of the tools given to you?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like but I appreciate it. Like it's refreshing, and it's good design. I'm not very far. I've only had time to put maybe 5 hours into it, and a lot of that is just kind of wandering around, just kind of seeing what I can do. But yeah, I get it, man. I believe the hype. One of the reasons I don't play my Switch a lot is because I had it on my computer monitors, because I didn't have enough HDMI slots for my television. I was like, "What the fuck am I doing with this Xbox, man? Like, this Xbox is like, there's literally dust on it. Like, let me undo this and put my Switch up." And yeah, man, look, it's not a graphical powerhouse, but it doesn't need to be, because it's got style. It has a style that is never going to look bad. Like, it's gonna age very well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you go back and play Wind Waker,
Yeah.
like, that game still looks good.
Yeah,
Because
the GameCube version of Wind Waker still looks good.
Right.
For as
right.
much as people ripped on that game's visual style when it first came out, it has aged perfectly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
like, it
that's
looks
the
great.
thing with designing a game with cutting edge graphics is that it's only cutting edge for 6 months, and then the
Right.
edge changes, and then you become, of your time essentially. So
Right. And Nintendo was such a very unique company in that they know exactly what they like. They know their machine inside and out, and it's maybe they're not unique in that way, but they know what their system can do. They optimize it for the most part. I don't know what the hell happened with that Pokemon game, but their games are optimized for their system to push it to the limit and not get any type of gameplay hindrance or anything like that.
And
Like,
they've been doing it for years. Like
right,
this is
right.
hardly the first time. Like I think like you brought up Pokemon, like Scarlet and Violet run like trash, obviously. But like I think of how like Pokemon's Gold, Silver, and Crystal were optimized so well that they were able to fit the entire additional Kanto region on the cartridge and double the size of the game. and there was nothing that slowed that game down. Like they've literally been doing this for like decades as far as like understanding their own hardware and understanding their cartridges so well that they know how to maximize the potential of what they do.
that is the thing. Like here, like the one thing that's been kind of mind blowing about this is that here's this game with this very elaborate physics engine that has like this remembrance of like where things are in the world and like how crazy it is, and the game, like I said, not a 4K 60 FPS darling, but it still looks good on the console it's on, and it takes up 16 gigabytes of memory on an install. And when I think of that, to me, like Nintendo's like the digital version of this. There's this anecdote that people tell about Steve Jobs, and Steve Jobs is a famously eccentric designer and leader,
a dick
and an asshole. And when they were designing the first iPhone, one of the prototypes that they handed him, he didn't like it because he said it's still too big. Like it needs to be thinner, it needs to be smaller. And they're like, we can't make it thinner, we can't make it smaller. And according to this anecdote, he tosses the fucking phone into a fish tank, and bubbles come out of it. And he says, "Look, there's still air in there. You can make it smaller." Like, and so like I feel like that Nintendo is like the fucking iPhone designers of video games. Like they have this very constrained space that they have to work with, and yet they're still able to fit in all of this just wild stuff that no one else in the industry is doing. It's very funny to me as well in this day and age where game designers and like game leads and things of that nature are like very well known quasi celebrities in the hardcore games crowd. You don't really know too many people that work on Nintendo. Like like the project leads, like we know like Inuma, and we know like I can't remember the Smash Brothers guy's name for Sakurai. We know Sakurai.
Sakurai
and Miyamoto, of course. But like, there's a lot of really fucking talented folks that are on that Zelda team that we don't know who they are. We don't know their names. We've never seen their faces. They're just plugging away doing amazing work, and no one really ever talks about like the fucking Zelda team in Nintendo, like one of the best video game development studios in the world. But they are.
Right.
it's just that they make Zelda games. So that's all they do.
Yeah.
So
it's the Nintendo Entertainment Planning and Development Division, Nintendo EPD.
Yeah.
It's the largest division within Nintendo, and it's like this is the same team that's ostensibly like has done a lot of the bigger games since it was established in 2015. But this is also the same team responsible for shit like Star Fox Zero. So not everything's a winner.
Well, you can't win them all. You can't win all.
No,
but,
you can't.
but again, and again, what's so funny is that, you know, hearing Carrie, hearing you talk about your time in the game and how much fun you're having, and even Micah being, you know, impressed with the limited time he has spent. I still have zero inclination to check out this game. Like I'm perfectly fine experiencing it vicariously through all of my friends and through the internet and things of that nature. And that's what's funny is that I'm still consuming the content for this game. Like I'm still I'm still seeing the, you know, the TikToks, and I'm still watching the YouTube videos, and I'm hearing the discussion. I don't need to play it though. Like I feel like that everything I feel like that everything that I would want to get from that game, I am getting by participating in the discussion around it. Because
That's fair.
again, say what you will about Zelda, and it's an amazing gameplay experience. It's not an amazing. It typically is not an amazing narrative experience, and I know that you two are not early enough in the game yet to be able to make any sweeping declarations.
I really like the narrative so far. I really do. I mean, honestly, like it's spread out enough that you can sort of get it in little bites. I don't know. I also really like these characters. And so like anytime I get to spend with my shark boyfriend, I am going to relish. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, it's the other thing I really enjoy about Tears of the Kingdom being out right now is the fact that I can look at who's up my Switch friends list, and it's just like you've got 24 friends, they're all aligned, and everyone's playing the same fucking game right now, which is just always really fun to see. I don't know. It's a good game. I'm really enjoying it. It's coming out at a very good time for me personally.
Not for me.
So
the worst time for Micah. And that's the other
Sorry,
thing too.
Micah.
I think that's one of the things that's keeping me at bay is the fact that I know that June is going to be, you know, all these games are going to come out that are going to keep me very busy for the next several months anyway. That I'm gonna play. So I don't know that I'll have time for it anyway.
That's fair.
Yeah.
See, I don't have anything else I'm really thinking about until 16.
Yeah.
So
Did you play the Street Fighter beta?
Oh yeah.
me?
No.
No,
I was gonna say,
I mean, no offense, but like,
Yeah.
No, look, I'm a fucking white woman. Like,
Oh
no,
yeah.
there's plenty of women who play fighting
that's
games.
true.
but-
That's true. I shouldn't generalize.
Yeah,
But this is me we're talking
I 100% fucking played the Street Fighter beta, and again, I was going into this, but like, you know, I don't really like Ken's whole deal in this game. Like, I don't like his story about how he lost all this money. Like,
He's a
you know,
crypto
buying
bro.
crypto and all this shit, and he looks like
Ken's a
fucking
crypto bro.
Ken is a crypto bro now, and he looks like a fucking deadbeat. And I was like, I don't know about fucking with Ken in this version. Maybe this will be a great opportunity to pick a new character to use in Street Fighter as my main. And then I played with Ken in the beta, and I was like, well, I guess we're just gonna be playing Ken again for the next several months.
I did the same thing, man. Like all this bullshit about, oh, maybe I'll try something different. Like, no, of course not. I picked the fella with the high top fade, and it was that I can't wait for that full game to come out. Now I will try some. The person I want to actually try wasn't in the beta, but so I picked Guile, and Jesus Christ, I love it. I love it. Zoning in that game feels amazing. And as a Guile player who typically loves to keep people at medium range, and if they come in, I chuck booms at them. If they jump, I got easy anti-air options. And if I'm feeling froggy, I can get in, do a couple of big hits. Like, he's a no nonsense, like uncomplicated character who's really annoying and can keep you like at mid range, and I love just out of poke range because he's got really long limbs. I fucking love it.
You know, it's funny. I did not realize, until I was playing the beta. Micah, did you realize that specials don't deal chip damage to your health bar?
Yes.
It deals it to the opponent's drive gauge unless they're on burnout.
And then like burnout. Yeah. Like that's why burnout is so dangerous.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's one of the reasons burnout is so dangerous. And that and you really got to manage your resources. Like a lot of people aren't using their drive rushes and more importantly, their drive reversals. They're not using them a lot, so you can really kind of get out of the corner very easily. Or maybe it was just like the 6 or 7 people that I played that like didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
Right. That's totally possible.
The thing that I really enjoy is I by nature I don't typically play hyper aggressively, but Ken really leans into an aggressive play style, especially in this version compared in like even more so than in years past. I had so much fun, and again, the guy that I was playing wasn't quite on my skill level because I beat him like 6 times in a row. But like I had like one of the most fun rounds, just playing so hyper aggressively, and it felt so easy to do.
Yeah.
And he didn't have an answer for me, and I perfected him in the round just by just fucking being relentless and just following up and rushing in, stuff like that. And he was just like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. What to do.
Yeah.
And it was just incredibly fun. So I feel like a lot of play styles are going to be very, very valid for this moment of the game. And then meanwhile, somebody used what's the girl's name against me, the ninja archetype,
Kimberly.
yeah, someone used her against me, and I did not have an answer.
Kimberly.
I did not know what to do.
Kimberly in the beta, I think, is a little broken, guys.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that just because I'm losing to a bunch of Kimberlys, but like I legit think I legit think that character has a bug that if she gets you in the corner, she can do things that like. I was reading somewhere where people were like, "Well, this character's kind of broken because like she can do things in the corner that will prevent you from moving or some bullshit, right?" It could have just been sour grapes from someone, but yeah, I don't know what the fuck to do with her. Get out of here.
Yeah, I'm looking very forward to getting my hands on the full release as well. We'll go to the post office where you can ask us questions that we'll answer on the show by joining our Discord, deadspixels.com/fans, just like Johnny did. Good transition for our Zelda conversation. What are your thoughts on the statement made by Anonuma regarding future Zelda titles that will follow the formula of the new open world format? Are the classic linear 3D and top-down 2D styles only going to be selected for remakes?
It's interesting. I feel like it's the kind of thing where it's like, yeah, of course things are going to follow this formula at least for the foreseeable future. Like, why wouldn't they? It's working for them. And people clearly enjoy what this does gameplay wise. As a longtime fan of the series, as someone who grew up on the Game Boy Color games in the franchise before I even so much as picked up a console version or played any of the 3D ones. I love the old 2D top-down Zeldas. I hope we get more remakes in that style. I hope that we get revisitings of the Oracle games in particular, in the same sort of style that they did Link's Awakening a few years ago, because I think there is still a level of charm to the older games and to the style of the older games, to that, isometric top-down 2D style that it's a different flavor from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And it's not for everyone, but that doesn't make it bad. And, there's a reason why they kept making the games in that style for as long as they did. I think I honestly think the last one that they did in that style, the last new one that they did in that style, which was Link Between Worlds, it remains towards the top of my list as far as all time on the franchise. I thought that game was fabulous. I don't know, even if it's just for the sake of, taking old like Game Boy games and turning them into Switch titles, I hope they still sort of like keep doing at least that. I guess there would have to be a demonstration of people wanting original stuff in that style at this point. And instead of just having it sort of act as like a retro throwback style sort of deal.
I think Metroid has shown, and not that Metroid are big sellers by any stretch of the imagination,
right,
especially compared to Zelda, but I think Metroid has shown that you can still live in both worlds and appeal to both. To both sides of your fan base. So, Daniel continues asking the hard-hitting questions that plague us as a society. This week it is pineapple acceptable on pizza?
It is if you like it.
Yeah, on your pizza.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had.
I don't put it on my pizza.
No, I'm very boring. I want a pizza. That's all I want.
Yeah.
A
Yeah,
bunch of meat on a pizza.
I mean, since I used to work at a pizza shop, like I of course have tried every combination. It is what it is. Again, it's not my preference. Will I turn down a slice of pineapple and ham pizza if offered and I'm very hungry? I wouldn't. I would absolutely eat it, but I'm not going to go out of my way for it. That's for sure. So, yeah, not.
I've had crab meat on pizza, so
That would be pretty good.
Yo, crab dip on pizza fucking rips,
that would be.
though.
you know.
I mean, at that point, is it really a pizza? Like
Yes, it's still a pizza.
or is it more of a flatbread? Is it more of a flatbread at that point?
But flatbreads are pizzas.
Kind of. Yes.
Yes, they are.
I thought they were called flatbread pizzas.
They're
They're
in the pizza. They're in the pizza family. Yes.
All right. Well, they're cousins. They got the same last name.
Yeah. Casa asks, "What is your favorite secondary weapon effect?" They bring up like exploding magazines, the hunting horn, etc.
Secondary weapon effect.
I don't know.
Like if I'm shooting a gun and it has an alternate fire.
Yeah, or something along those lines.
I like something that gives me a widespread. If I can go from shooting like a single bullet to shooting like several, that's what I like.
Yeah, I don't really know.
So like Carrie, would you consider like the stances in like Monster Hunter Hammer to be secondary effects, or is that like part of?
I don't know,
two sides of the
that
same
just
coin?
that feels like just part of the kit at that point, Like I don't consider it a secondary effect. I would consider like if I'm using like a poison lance rather than a different, that's because that creates an additional effect. I would consider that a secondary effect.
Then I'll go with like the gun lance discharge.
Okay.
In Monster Hunter, that's probably the easiest one to point to for me. Got to get out of here with your grenade launcher or stuff like that. What was the game that had the weapon that when you reloaded it you would just like throw it had to be Borderlands, like where you just like throw the gun at somebody and it would become like a quasi grenade.
That sounds like Borderlands.
I think Borderlands had at least has like a weapon perk that you can get on a gun where instead of like when you reload, instead of like reloading the gun, you literally just chuck it at your opponent and it explodes on them. It has to be Borderlands that has this. So, Sushi and Sashimi asks, can you do a series where Brad watches each of the Fast and Furious movies?
It has to be me and Brad because I haven't seen a single one.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Like I talked about how like I notably have, despite loving action movies, have not seen any of the I've only seen the first Fast and Furious. I've never seen anything, and I definitely haven't seen them since they took a hard turn towards just like bonkers, off the wall fucking action. The irony is, once I got past the first couple Fast and Furious movies where it was about the cars and about like the fucking drag racing with a side of crime, I would find those torturous. But I'm sure by the time we got to Fast 4, I would be having a good time, even though I haven't actually seen those movies. And really, once we get to 5, and you can just really turn your brain off and just fucking go nuts.
I don't know, man. Are you like the type of action person that like appreciates an action movie for what human beings are theoretically capable of, or are you the type of person that likes action movies where it's just literal nonsense? Like,
I'm a big fan of
absurd.
nonsense myself.
No, see,
Okay,
but see, I like, and that's the problem is that like Micah hit the nail on the head. He knows my tastes.
Right.
Like I like 1 foot on the ground when I'm watching an action movie. Like I don't want to have to suspend my disbelief too far. Like even Moonraker, I'm like, it's ridiculous that James Bond is going to space, but at the same time, like if he did, this is probably what would happen.
Right, like he went to space in a shuttle
Right.
and not a car.
Right. And,
You know what I mean?
and he's moving around in zero G. Like James Bond is doing space shit. Like, okay, like, yeah, I don't have to pretend like this couldn't happen. James Bond could absolutely go to space. That being said, so weirdly enough, my favorite like ridiculously over the top action movie is probably Shoot 'Em Up, which was this like just random fucking movie that came out in the mid-aughts with Clive Owen. That I feel like no one has ever seen. But it is just a great, like, 90-minute, turn your brain completely off and just watch nonsense happen around you type of film. So,
Whereas, like, if you were to watch these fast movies, I mean, you would turn into a zombie, right? There is no just like brain off, right? We're laughing at these movies because it's like, yo, who thought of this? Like, who thought of this? Like, there's a bridge that's falling, right? Like it's disintegrating, and they're driving up the disintegrating bridge. And this isn't like a like a stone bridge that's falling or whatever, right? No, this is a rope bridge. This is a rope bridge with planks, and a Range Rover is driving up the falling broken planks. Like, what? Like, this is
oh
like,
my
who
god,
thought of this?
Micah,
This
can
is
you in
dumb.
30 seconds explain to me how they get from what the first three Fast movies were to what the Fast movies are now in the films themselves?
I can't, because the first three were in some sort of like realism, right? They were Point Break with cars,
Right.
right?
We're racing for pinks and running drugs and all the and this shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then like 3 was kind of weird because it took place not because it took place in Japan, but because it was like a soft reboot. And then 4 happened, and that was the official soft reboot. And then 5 happened, and 5 is kind of like what Mission Impossible movies are now, right? Like if a Mission Impossible movie now met the first Fast and Furious movie, you would get Fast 5. And then at 6, they turned into the Justice League. Like that's when they were flying and shit, right? Like
Amazing.
that's when everything kind of went off the rails. And then 7 was only good because that was Paul Walker's last movie, and it was actually, for as stupid as this franchise is, they really did send him off in a beautiful way. And then they made 8 where The Rock picks up a submarine missile and throws it at somebody. Like, all right, guys, I can't do this anymore.
Oh my god!
But I'm there every time.
God, you guys, like I said, once we're done these video games, maybe you could talk me into starting with 5 and seeing what happens from there. I don't think I could put myself through watching the first 3. I really don't. Like I would be tortured. Anthony asks, and I guess this is mostly for me and Micah, favorite Metal Gear Solid games in order from top to bottom. Are we counting the spin-offs, or are we just going with mainline franchise?
I haven't even played all of the mainline, so let's just do the mainline.
Nor have I. But that's okay.
Now, I say that, are we including Twin Snakes?
No. I mean, you can count it as one if that's your preferred
as
version
part
of one.
one?
Yeah. Mine's easy. It's 3, 1, 4, 2, and I haven't played 5, so I can't speak to it.
Mine is 1 for the little bit of 3 that I played, 2, and I haven't played 5.
Yep.
So I hope to rectify not playing 3, especially with this new game coming out, but we'll see. Everyone says that's the best one. I for some reason I just never finished.
I mean, I think objectively it is. Some people argue for 5. 5, like I said, when 5 just took the game away from, what I kind of associated with Metal Gear, and I think they went to, they kind of geared it more towards open world action a little bit, which for those games is not necessarily what I'm looking for. So, and that's kind of what I like. As cool as it is, they are doing a Snake Eater remake. I'm worried if it's like, oh, it's a remake, but now it's Metal Gear 5, but it's just Metal Gear 3, and so that wouldn't. I don't think I would like that as much. Gerard asks, "What is your favorite video game based documentary? Whether it's a short film, like from Game Historian, or on YouTube, or like King of Kong, like a feature length film."
I like King of Kong a lot. Much as like you have to take it in the fact that it was done in 2007 and a lot has changed since then. For Billy Mitchell especially, fuck that guy. Like there's a lot of good stuff online. Honestly, the fucking takedown of Tommy Tallarico that happened
Yeah,
not too long ago.
Honest. So, like, I don't know that I don't
Which
know
is
that
like-
you can count an H Bomber Guy video as a documentary.
No, but it's 2
per se.
hours long. It's a fucking feature. It's absolutely a feature length.
It's really good, especially because if you don't know what it's about when you go into the video, it fucking like sets you up to the left and then fucking comes in with the right and hammers you over the head about what the video is actually about.
And it's so well done. And again, like I'm looking at it right now. It is an hour and 57 minutes long.
I've watched it twice. That's how good it is. I've watched
feature
it twice.
length documentary on how Tommy Tallarico is a fucking liar.
Mike,
like,
have you seen it, by the way?
I haven't. I've just
dude,
heard.
you gotta.
I've just heard that Tommy Tallarico is kind of a piece of.
Oh,
shit.
you will love like he is a like from the standpoint of the effortlessness with how bullshit comes out of his mouth. You could argue that Tommy Tallarico is like the Donald Trump of the video game.
Honestly,
Yeah, I've always heard that he's kind of like a pathological liar. Like it's just like that dude's got a problem. Like he's just lying about things that are easily verifiable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Within like 2 keystrokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it's pretty good.
I'm gonna go with that. I think that is probably my favorite video game based documentary is the Roblox oof.mp3 H Bomber Guy video that came out 6 months ago. Because it is such a dive into not just the history of like that noise and where it came from, but like how it got expanded into like how Tommy Tallarico has made an entire career in the games industry out of being a fucking shithead liar.
Yeah. Basically capitalizing on other people's work.
Yeah.
It's how he's made his career. So, for gaming historian makes a lot of really good stuff. His doc on Tetris was very good, and would recommend seeking that out if you're not familiar with his work as well, because that's also a longer one. I think that's like a 45-minute video, give or take, about the how Tetris came to be, and his stuff's always very well researched and excellent. So yeah, there's lots of really good video game nonfiction stuff out there if you know where to look for it. So
there was one documentary that was like about the fighting game community, and I thought it was pretty interesting. It's not like a good documentary, like it feels like a documentary that was made, you know, very amateurish, but like from people who are enthusiastic about it, and it's just interesting getting if you don't know why like we talk about fighting games, like, and you know, we're not like hardcore into that scene or anything, but the community there is so very unique because it's such like it's very like healthy competition for the most part. Like you got your dicks out there, but it's interesting to see like these people take this sport so seriously. It's the only video game genre that I can just kind of watch, right? Like you were talking about, oh, if Overwatch was on, I could watch it. I can't watch that. I don't know if it's just because I'm not terribly versed into what is going on, or if I just like fighting games more. I think fighting games are easy enough to get into and watch, and the community is very interesting. Like it's like Rise of the fighting game community or something like that. It's easily to find. It's easy to find. It's only like an hour.
T-Wash says, which side characters do you wish had a spin-off game? They say that they wish the Mortal Kombat 10 kids had their own Shaolin Monks style game.
That's interesting.
I like, I want to, like, my gut reaction is like the champions from Breath of the Wild. But like they sort of did that with Hyrule Warriors as far as like making them all playable and like expanding on their stories and whatnot. I got nothing else. I want more of those characters.
You could do like a sympathetic villain side story of like Ryuzu and the band of folks that he travels with in Ghost of Tsushima, potentially, because they're kind of like, you know, mercenary Ronin of sorts in that game. So that could be that you could potentially make interesting content from there.
I got nothing.
All right.
Can't think of anything.
And we'll end it with Muckmeister. Fan mail, no question. I just think your show's neat.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate that
very much.
We think it's pretty neat too. So that is it for the questions. Thank you guys for submitting those. Again, if you join our Discord by going to densepixels.com/fans, you too can ask us questions that we will answer on the show every single week. If you don't subscribe to this podcast and you're like, you stumbled upon it, you're like, oh my God, like these guys, they're pretty awesome. I want to hear them every single week.
The show is neat.
Damn right. It's neat. It's neat. You can subscribe to us wherever you download fine podcasts. Not only us, but all the other shows in the TNP Studios network that Micah mentioned during the first ad read. You can go to youtube.com/densepixels and you can subscribe to us there as well. I'm starting to get the itch. To do some more like either streaming and or content creation, like putting together videos for games that I'm looking at. Like I really want to make a tape to tape video because I think that game is just neat as well, and there's not a lot of people that are on YouTube talking about it. So I'm getting the itch. We'll see if I have the time and the inclination to actually do it. And you can follow us on Twitch. I'm Dense Pixels Brad, Carrie is Suppets Carrie, Terrence is Apparition 410. That's it for the show this week. Thank you guys very much for watching and listening. We will see you all the next time.
See ya.
Bye.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.